top seems to have taken the night off. So, assume that we're up and running, and we look forward to bringing you some coverage of this event tonight. Really interesting season thus far. We've got a lot of news and notes to get to. We have moved over to the qualifying area here. Fourth round coverage of Bathurst. And one heck of a race we have here tonight. So, not only a lot of news and notes from the track, but a few news and notes here and wonderful broadcasters. So, yours truly, Brad Mears, trying to bring you the best pictures that I possibly can. We are missing, unfortunately, the broadcast host out there. I'm not here tonight. So, a bit of a challenge for myself to be running all of the pictures and trying to find you the very best battles on track and trying to navigate the great time scoring that we have here for this iRacing Championship. But we're going to bring you the very best pictures we possibly can, and in any event, it's going to be one heck of a race. Now, this Bathurst circuit, always a crowd favorite, of course, and anybody who has driven the track loves it, well, or hates it, I guess. And anybody who's heard about it probably wants to drive it. It is one heck of a challenge around this place with famous corners such as Hell Corner, Skyline, the S's, the Dippa, the Chase, Murray's Corner. It's a tough one out there, and I tell you, it's going to be particularly tough in this rough World Endurance Challenger tonight for these drivers. Now, interesting to see here tonight just what kind of racing this track is going to precipitate. If it's going to lead to some very good racing, or if it's going to lead to a lot of defensive driving and just trying to keep the darn thing on track and keep it straight. That is going to remain to be seen. Now, Roberto Law is on a hot lap. It's a very fine results in the standings. Managed to disappear, but take my word for it, Roberto Lacroix has been putting in some very good standings. Now, if memory serves, Roberto actually missed the first race there at Daytona, so missed out on a few points there, but since then has been putting in a fine effort toward this, well, I guess it would be the third season, toward this third season championship here at NAGP, so very fine effort to Roberto Lacroix. I can tell you that we will get those points back up for you, because there are, as mentioned, some news and notes there. Now, first, the headline would be a very large, tight would be Wyatt Goodman. Simply dominating each and every race that he does so far this season. So, has yet to fail to get the win or a pole position early in this season, through 4 rounds anyway. So, quite an impressive feat for Wyatt Goodman. Quite a few drivers in that race for second place in the championship, and of course it's not over. At any moment, something untoward could certainly happen to Wyatt Goodman, and you could find that points lead evaporate very quickly. But it's one heck of a battle that we do have. Second position, Alfonso Rodriguez holding down that spot based on fine runs. Traffic that we see blinking in and out of are currently on a hot lap themselves, but in any event, it is Alfonso Rodriguez holding down that second spot. So 3 rounds for Rowland. Michael Robrick has been putting in some very fine points efforts. Those drivers very close to one another to get that Wyatt Goodman separation there towards the front. Now, time for getting to roll in. Go to the 5th position. And I'm looking here at my timing and scoring to get you some updates. It is Alfonso Rodriguez, actually, which has this is a very long track. Qualifying time thus far around the 2-minute 5 hours. Not a lot of time for these drivers to have lap. this time by. And you see that 203 there. As so far, I fail to see Wyatt Gooden up on my timing and scoring, so not sure what's going on with that. We'll have to check back, but in any event, it does look like that's going to be a 203.2 for Wyatt Gooden. That should be good enough for pole, assuming everything shakes out on the timing and scoring end. Ah, and now we have it. It looks like my third-party timing and scoring has gone down, so apologize for that. Oh, it looks like everything is shut down on me. Okay, well, there you go. So, I guess we'll try to get everything fired back up here and see if we can actually get figured out as to what's going on. Well, sometimes it seems to be fine, other times not so much. But those times, once again, get rolling in, we'll figure out where everybody is at. So, once again, I'm afraid it's a question of trying to get everything sorted here on my end, run through everything, and you know, when you do have those technical problems and they can be a bit more of a challenge. So, Alfonso Rodriguez still showing in the #1 spot, and that is your official iRacing. I can only assume that Alfonso Rodriguez continues to circulate in that spot, and Wyatt Gooden still not showing up on the timing and scoring. So, we'll continue to try to check that, and it looks like now. So, now it looks like it's time 17. Now, it's a guy we want to keep an eye on, because after all, he has yet to fail again to get that pole position or win a race. So he is pretty much the man to watch in terms of setting the pace around these races. And so it's a good idea to keep an eye on him, but we also want to make sure we keep an eye now on Alfonso Rodriguez, who has slipped behind, excuse me, Mr. Miller. And I'm trying to navigate my selections here to, there he is, Chris Miller, of course. Showing some very good times in practice was Chris Miller. In fact, had bested Wyatt in that practice period. So Chris Miller putting on a very fine show of speed here tonight. Obviously has put in quite a bit of practice. And really, unfortunately, has yet to show the results this season that his pace would have appeared. So, Chris Miller, 17 very fine points. Last week, I haven't gotten that time to So, I'm basically just going to keep working this down and firing it up. Either stay up or it won't, but we're just going to do the best we can with it. So, we continue, and I know that those taskbars are on your screen. I can't remember how to get rid of them. And now I have to bring up the overlay once again. Because for some reason that seems to want to quit too, so. Now a second. And if I'm not mistaken, Alfonso Rodriguez has reclaimed that position there now with that 2:04.4. So Alfonso Rodriguez back to the top of the timesheets. And who knows, maybe it's just 4 minutes to go in this qualifying session. time around this place is different once we do start this event. Again, it's really going to be a question of those guys, those drivers that can push a little bit for that speed and perhaps get into close action with their fellow competitors. We're going to have about 28 drivers out there on track, and that will be juxtaposed by those simply trying to survive out on this track. And I suspect that is going to be the better option because it will take just the smallest mistake to end the race. Now, these drivers a lot of points toward this championship, so you know, and I suspect that is because now Ben Darley has taken over the 4th position. So, oh, and I'm sorry, I did not have the liveries. Not get that sort of time again. Our lead broadcaster, Al Miramont, ordinarily handling pictures, though there have been some technical issues here the last couple of weeks. He is not here tonight, so it is one single coxswain at the helm here, and he will try to do the best job he possibly can. So, Ben Darley now in that 4th position. Alfonso Rodriguez holds down that provisional pole. Now, just with the barest of time left to go here, perhaps only another time lap for those guys already out there on track. Chris Miller still holds down that 2nd spot. It looks like he's going to have enough time to get another lap in. So, currently with that 206.5, it's a little bit good for Chris Miller. Looking now to Kyle Burney. Kyle Burney putting in some very good results of late toward this championship. He finds himself just a little back so far as he has missed out on a few points early this season. But Kyle Burney holding down the 7th spot in this championship, and really has to be said, missed out on a few points he probably would have expected to get last week at Zolder. And once again, our time in scoring has failed. It's running perfectly in practice. Probably have run it for hours upon hours. It could have been just fine. And suddenly, once we start the broadcast, of course, it's going to fail repeatedly. So that's always enjoyable. So, and Kyle Burney there now. Ben Darley cataloged him, running in 4th. Paul Darling now has picked up a little bit of time. Paul Darling now running the 5th spot with that 2:05.1. And it looks like we did miss the time there on Chris Miller. Chris Miller obviously had set a better time than that 2:06.5. No doubt that was as a result of my 4:9 scoring. So, IRacing ultimately showing that 2:06.5 that is not his best lap. His best lap, in fact, is a 2:04.6. So, just a couple of tenths of a second off that provisional. And coming now through the chase, I believe. And into Murray's corner, he is going to finish up his time lap here. And will he snatch that pole away? Oh, it is very close, but no, coming up just short. Oh, he did take it. Excuse me. So, Chris Miller edging out Alfonso Rodriguez now. Alfonso Rodriguez may be on his final lap. I'm not sure. We're going to have to check that out. It looks like Alfonso Rodriguez is still setting sector time. In fact, has turned the fastest sector time, so if I'm not mistaken, he is still on a hot lap and can retake that pole position. Now, in addition to... Oh! Losing it through the S's, Alfonso Rodriguez is going to be done, so pushing very hard, and that is going to do it. Qualifying period for the top spots. Paul Darling is in. Duvall is in. I was just going to mention, as a result of Mike Erder has come home in 11th, and that may have improved his time. So I can only apologize for trying to run through all the different overlays and timing and scoring I've got here while still trying to control some pictures. I'm afraid that by and large we will be confined to that TV1 view, so it's going to be very difficult for me to, in addition to everything else, really changing that view and getting you some exciting onboards and those types of things. But hopefully the pictures will speak for themselves as we prepare now to set the grid and head out for our warm-up lap. Now, in addition to all that, it should be mentioned that unfortunately it's going to be difficult for me to navigate and bring you all of the team classification standing as well. Now, there is a good fight going on there as well. I will direct you over to that NorthAmericanGP.com and that iRacing Saturday forum to check up on your favorite driver as they stand in those classifications, because there are some exciting news and notes, and those points of course change all the time. Now, another interesting news and note, Wyatt Gooden now, it looks like, has retained the 12th position in that qualifying period, so it's going to be 12th on the grid for Wyatt Gooden. Now, interesting, hard to say if Wyatt Gooden has had much practice on the for this event rather, but some work to do on this track. Now, you have to figure if anybody can advance their position, then Wyatt Gooden would be able to. Now, I do see that Porsche of Roberto Lacroix sitting back there as well. He is another driver to keep an eye on as he tries to move forward in this championship. So we'll try to get you those news and notes also. So as they begin to head out, on this pace lap, we'll get you the running order. It is Chris Miller has taken pole for this event here at Bathurst. Alfonso Rodriguez was pushing hard to reclaim that position, but he will have to settle for second. I assume that they're going to go on a pace lap, but I'm going to hold here for a second just in case I'm confused about that. Ah, okay, pace car is pulling off very well. Kyle Burney has put in a very good time. That was toward the end of that session as well for Kyle Burney. So Kyle Burney comes home in that third position. It is Ben Darley in fourth, Paul Darley in fifth. Eric Edge, 5, 6 positions, 7th Roberto Lacroix, we saw him take down the 10th position. It is Mike Erder in 11th. 13th position is Gerald Livingston. Philip Berry, haven't seen Philip Berry. entire stint or race length, but not the easiest in the world either. And okay, I guess perhaps he's going to pull off. And I'm jamming away here. You know, just singing, sun's out, just lying around on the beach, and here we've been racing all this stuff. That is exciting. But in the event, I'm doing the best that I can. And now that we do see those pictures, let's try to get you to some of the action. So it is Alfonso Rodriguez, as we've been watching here the last couple seconds in that second position. Now, it does look like Ben Carley has moved to the... There we go. Ben Carley obviously showing third, but showing on fourth. So, let's just try to close that down and restart. It can't make sense of this thing here. Now, it should be noted as well as trying to navigate all this. Unfortunately, not there we go. Time and scoring. Spectacular. As to the type of just run with it and hope for the best here. Ah, okay, we've got some timing and scoring back up. All right. So as you can see, it is indeed Ben Darley in second. I see Carl Bernie has taken over. I can find him very close. So Kyle Bernie, and we have a spin. Now I believe that is, well, I don't know what that is, but in any event, there is a spin coming there through. Oh shoot, can't tell where that's at on track. But it was Kyle Bernie who I was taking note of as started. Oh, I can't remember. Running fourth, I can tell you that. Closely followed by, of course, Jared. So all of these drivers seem to be working at a very nice pace. Really have been able to feel out the car in the first couple laps here, and I suspect another lap or so, and get a good sense of them being able to start to push a little bit. So now, Alfonso Rodriguez, indeed it was Alfonso Rodriguez who has crashed out of this race. So Alfonso Rodriguez from the second place, we were just talking about trying to work into this race and settle in, settle down, find your groove, and Alfonso Rodriguez perhaps pulling the trigger on the accelerator a little too early, trying to make up some ground, but Chris Miller has crashed out of this race. So Ben Darley now in the second position. Of course, Kyle Bernie, we were watching him, certainly will move up to the second position. Except that he's showing fourth here on time and scoring, so I have no idea what's up with that. Slight Alfonso Rodriguez. Now, I just showed it up now. Time and scoring. Up now. Now. And I'm trying to find him. Down till I find him. Oh, come on. And there he is, all the way at the bottom. That makes sense since he's running third. Okay, so Wyatt Gooden now in the third position. And the time he has been making up is just incredible now that he is behind. If I'm not mistaken. Yes, got it right. So, Darling not giving up any ground to Chris Miller, but giving up tons of ground to Wyatt Gooden. So Wyatt Gooden starts with that pole position on the grid. I don't think that is a surprise. It was a big move up some 7 spots in the space of a lap and a half, 2 laps. That is quite showing. So maybe we'll see why opportunity perhaps squandered for some of these other drivers. We're trying to go through these drivers, get a sense of where everybody's running out there. We want to make sure that everybody gets a little bit of pace time. I'm going to do my best for that. But this is kind of an interesting battle. So, but I assume that some of these drivers have put some mistakes out there. The drivers have some mistakes squandered. So those would be the likes of Roberto Lacroix, Corey Brown, Kyle Burney. All these drivers now behind that pace setter flag in terms of classification. Now, that is not Roberto Lacroix. That's not Eric. Now let me find him on the list. There he is. I'm not even going to attempt to change the camera, but you can see that that is a very nice dice now for the 5th position. And Eric Enge looking to extend some points over Kirk. This is a fight not only on track, but in that driver classification as well. We'll keep an eye on that battle. In the meantime, we do want to try to get through and get a sense of just where these drivers are running out on track. Chris Miller out in front. And I'm going to have to go through this very slowly, but we're going to give it a shot. Okay, Chris Miller in front. I have to assume it is now Wyatt Gooden in that 2nd position, so that would put him back in the 3rd. So Wyatt Gooden quickly making that pass. Let's see, according to my timing and scoring, it is now the 4th position indeed, and he shows up and it is, of course, still closely followed by Eric Enge. The 6th position, now lagging quite a bit off that 5th place. So these gaps, as expected, have very good. Say that, as we do see some damage on the right front of that Roberto Lacroix Porsche. But again, it has to be said, really, perhaps some opportunities missed here for some of these drivers. Right behind that would be Corey Brown. I didn't recognize that livery. Again, I'm sorry that I did not have those scenes up there for you guys. I was simply too much trying to prepare on short notice, bringing the pictures myself with Al Maramon temporarily on assignment. So Corey Brown really putting in a pretty nice effort up to 7th. Now, he had qualified around the so not picking up too many spots from that qualifying effort, but I think anybody that keeps that car clean and on track is going to advance their positions. And hey, after all, it's still a good 48 minutes to race here, so a lot of positions gained from any position. So looking back now, that is Paul Darling in the 8th position. And oh, that is the Darling we saw have that spin there at Murray's Corner in the first lap of this race. Darling slipping back a little bit. He did have a very nice qualifying effort, but you can see that that is a staggering gap from that 7th. It is Scott Myers now down the 9th position. Scott coming in a very fine run, qualified in the 13th position, so I think Scott Myers knows exactly how to approach this race and on this track. He was doing exactly, at least early in the running, what he needed to do to pick up some of those positions. And it looks like he is, of course, closely followed by wait for it, NEL. Oh, that'd be Ray Nelson, of course. So Ray Nelson trying to put that pressure on Scott Myers. Barry Richard now holding down the 11th spot, and this is actually a relatively close battle. These guys turning relatively similar times there in the high range. So they will be looking to gain advantage. They're hoping maybe for a little bit of a mistake from that driver in front to help them gain a little bit of that advantage. Now, my broadcast may be running here. If you get the opportunity, if you do happen to be watching this broadcast, first of all, I apologize. And secondly, maybe you've got other things you want to do. It could happen. But thirdly, if you are happening to watch this and those pictures are coming through, go ahead and give us a quick chat and let us know that they're running all right. So, let's try to hunt down the 12th position. Now that is and no, he is showing in the 24th position. Heavy damage now for Charles. And that's very well recently. He may have not popped up on timing and scoring. And indeed, here into the pits just now, so I have to believe that he has fallen through timing and scoring, just hasn't shown up yet here on our overlay. So that is an unfortunate circumstance now. And continuing down it is now Eric Hafner holding down that 12th position. Take a look at that 13th position. That would be Robert Lamb. James Lamb, I apologize, with heavy damage as well to the front of that portion. You have to assume that some of these drivers are, well, it could be having problems anywhere. That damage sure looks to me like that is S's damage coming over Skyline with the S's. No doubt having some problems there. For these drivers was to keep it clean, and we can see just who has managed to do it and who doesn't. You know, in circumstances like this, on this track, it's so important. No matter how slow one has to drive to get around this place, that is sure going to be way better than having to bring it into the pits for repairs multiple times. You see now on time Wyatt Gooden has gone over Chris Miller. Now we're going to check back in on that battle, but Wyatt Gooden now not satisfied with that 12th place position on the grid to start this race, and quickly has found himself there up toward the front and continuing his dominance of this season 3 championship here at NAGP TV. So it's going to be a tough order for the rest of these guys. Also on timing and scoring, as we get through the rest of the drivers, it's going to be a very short list that we hunt through, because it looks like, oh boy, quite a bit of this field is out of this event already. Just 23 minutes old now. I have to say, I'm honestly as I'll go ahead and try to get you that. Which Robert. It looks like he has turned a 13.3 last time by. So, you know, not exactly the pace of the leaders, but Daniel finds himself in 14th position now and earning himself. Any day that you're alive and on track is a good day, so good for Daniel. It is Milton Minter Jr., that Porsche running clean as well. Maybe a battle for position right behind Milton. Check on that. Franklin Nichols, no. It's not a battle for position, but Franklin Nichols is flying on the 16th. 2:12 last time by. Not a bad lap time. To complete another lap. Oh boy, now is going to open after this. Big time, big time, big time. As we search now for your final runner in 17th place. Sean Johnson, of course, Sean Johnson. And not running too far off. Franklin Nichols, so a bit of a battle going on there. So it is 17 cars remaining in this event. We know that Wyatt Gooden remains out front. And, oh, we see a little bit of damage to the right front of Wyatt Gooden's car there as well. So he has had some type of incident there. And while the gaps of our 17 runners remain on track, might be opened up a little bit even early here, just 20 minutes through this running here at Bathurst. That doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot. These guys are still fighting for these positions. It's not necessarily on track and close. It's really a battle kind of within oneself at this point. Trying to make sure that one retains one's line cleanly. There we go. Dropped out of the frame there. Perhaps looks like he might have just lost a second there or something. Not giving up too much really to Wyatt Gooden as we check the last lap by. So about 9/10 seconds. Wyatt Gooden managed to pull out on that last lap. Oh, I see now that the motor volumes are drowning me out. I just caught that as my poor laptop is unfortunately having a time. But hey, the broadcast is what it is, and if you're still tuned in by this point, there's not much I can do to get you away. So let's see if we can try to figure that out. Okay, why is that not working? Okay, well I have no idea why that's not working over there. So I'll try to get it figured out. Yep, there we go. So, don't know if that's any better, don't know if it's any worse. But we're still tuned in at this point again. Maybe there's something else that you could be doing. But if you are, go ahead and give us a quick update there in the chat. And let us know if these sounds are better for you. Once again, it's a one-man show here tonight, trying to have a lot of irons, a lot of fires, juggling a lot of fruit up in the air, as it were. So, we'll do the best we can. Try to get you some things out. check back in with Wyatt Good. Ooh, hey, the overlay actually updated now. That will change very quickly, no doubt, but for the moment, we actually have drivers in order. Now that is pretty exciting news, folks. And let me tell you, things are way different when that takes place. That is all kinds of exciting. He's working his way through some lap traffic. And the gaps currently as they run, Wyatt Good is out in front of Chris Miller, running now some 4 seconds behind, but really not too bad considering the type of staggering pace that Wyatt Good has shown. So Chris Miller really doing a very fine effort here in this run. And Alfonso Rodriguez, who has been mistake-free through the first 3 rounds. So first chink in Alfonso Rodriguez's armor. Now we can check out Ben Darley Jr., who is now still running in that 3rd position. Now him and Chris Miller are still actually locked in a very tight fight, though that gap on track is now about 3 seconds. There really is not too much as anything can quickly happen, as now Chris Miller, of course, is coming up on that lap traffic. Kyle Burney not too far off of Ben Darley also, and we can see the battle between Kyle Burney and Eric Enge still tooth and nail between those 2 guys. Now, let's just go down here for a second how much more smoothly this runs when we can actually see the timing and scoring. You know, we are not complete dunces, and we have our little song and dance. This is by no means a professional broadcast, but you know what? We don't do such a bad job for being a little song and dance. If we can only get this crap to work and get a sense of who is running where and then that would help us a lot. But anyway, enough with the ranting. Roberto Lacroix now runs in that 6th spot, but that gap has opened up significantly to Eric Enge, now about 17 seconds. Corey Round, last time we saw Corey, he was in that 7th spot. He still holds it down, and currently running just about 4 seconds off of Roberto Lacroix. Actually, some very good battles still going on out there on track, and I think at this point these guys are remaining out there on track have got it figured out, and figuring out the limits as they work into this race, and as the tires wear and the fuel load burns off. Just exactly what it is they can't get away with. So, these guys starting to get it figured out with Paul Darling in that fight as well. Now we saw Paul Darling have that spin, and oh boy, actually knowing where everybody's running out there on track and seeing the gaps. Oh my God, so nice. Scott Myers now well off of Paul Darling in that 8th position, still moving down the 9th position, and that car also looking very clean. So Scott Myers, his fine run continues, and boy, we have seen Scott Myers actually through the first 3 rounds put in some very nice efforts. Last weekend, his older being one of them, but having some late race misfortune. Last week, I believe it was during pit stops. Scott Myers kind of having his good run coming unraveled there in those pit stops, but running well here still in the 9th position. Ray Nelson now in the 10th position. Last time we looked in at Ray Nelson, he was, I believe, running around the 13th position. So Ray Nelson picking up a few spots here, and in 10th now. About this race about half over. So still some time for Ray Nelson to come home with some very nice points. Barry Richard running in the 11th position now, and only about 10 seconds off of Ray Nelson. So that fight continues. James Lamb continues his run and continues his damage. Hey, you know what? I laugh, but he is out there on track and running, and he is going to get an opportunity here relatively shortly to come in and get that damage repaired. So he is no doubt looking forward to that. Really, not a bad idea. Not getting pressured by traffic in behind, and not really needing necessarily to push to the next driver in front. So instead of coming in and perhaps having to change strategy on the fly, it might be better in this case just to take that scheduled stop. You see not too far behind him, Eric Hafner now doing a fine job trying to reel him in, and I think that Eric Hafner actually has picked up a few seconds here over the last couple laps. No doubt that Dan is not helping him out. Daniel Roberts running just off air capture, as you can see. So that battle also very tight. So plenty of good battles going on out there. As you see Milton Minter now. Wyatt Gooden through. And Franklin Nichols now. Looks like he is, I think Franklin is out of this event so quickly. It looks like, no, indeed, he has just come in for a pit stop. There's still a little bit of damage there on that World Endurance Challenge car, but in any event, he is back out on the track and circulating around. Sean Johnson now holds down the 16th position. And that may be it for the cars still on track. Yeah, so I think it is still 17 runners. Well, 17 or 16, hard to say for sure, as now the timing and scoring is starting to get wonky again. But I am going to look forward to trying to shut that. Usually you can't shut it down and start it back up and it like all of a sudden reorders. Well, I'll be looking forward to trying that in the future, because that was fun while it lasted. Okay, so checking back quickly now with Wyatt Gooden. It looks like that gap has opened up now to about 10 seconds from Wyatt Gooden to Chris Miller, but Chris Miller still holding strong. And it looks like the damage has been repaired on that Wyatt Gooden Porsche. So, very interesting. Hard to say if Wyatt Gooden has come into pits or not. In my timing and scoring challenges at times, that's a possibility. I apologize for that. But in any event, the damage may be fixed, so either some video glitches going on there, or a pit stop has occurred. That gap not closing or opening to Chris Miller would suggest also they have been in. We did see a pit stop taking place back there in the field with Franklin Nichols and, well, Franklin Nichols, we saw him come in. So. I was looking through time and scoring, thinking perhaps he had come into the pits, but we see that Chris Miller now is trying to get by to get that lap on Milton Minter, who smartly lets him through easily. I have to say, it has been a very fine run for Milton Minter Jr. here tonight. I'm very impressed with that run, and the car is, well, we did see a little damage on it earlier, but by and large, it's been pretty clean. We have certainly seen some of these drivers with sheet metal damage much worse than he had. So Ben Darley does go down that spot. So that gap has opened up a little bit now. We saw both of those guys in the same frame at one point. Ben Darley just now coming over the skyline. So that gap opened up to about the tune of 8 seconds, I would judge it. Kyle Burney continues his fight in there again. These guys have not been separated from the drop of the green flag, and that fight continues. So this is probably pins and needles for these guys. They are fighting not only the track, but themselves and each other all at the same time. And this has been a nice dice. So two drivers that have figured it out to be able to push for a little bit of speed while still being able to race each other. Very nice runs. These two guys. We better go ahead and stay on this action now. If I'm very brave, I can try to change this camera angle. You see this fight is starting to take place here. So let's see if we can't and then I'll go practice. And as stated previously, if you're still here by this point, there's about nothing I can do to drive it. They're managing to help very nicely. Kyle Murray as well. Not taking advantage of being a driver. just have to be very patient here. That lap traffic can't get out of the way. We'll pull over as we head in now to the dipper. And as I'm moving back to the camera control, sorry, I did that as quickly as I could. But Kyle Burney, you can see, has definitely taken advantage of that lap traffic, trying to gain an advantage now. And it is going to be Kyle Burney looking on the outside through Murray's corner. So it is going to be Kyle Burney to the 4th position. And Eric what a great fight again to navigate this circuit by one's own self is difficult enough, let alone to do it in traffic and racing a fellow competitor. And it should be noted also once again that these points on offer are not insignificant. These two battling very close in that overall Drivers' Championship. And it's going to be very important coming down the stretch. Now, we are going to go through the order here of the drivers remaining on track. Momentarily, we definitely want to get you all of your updated information as they do run out there. But we also want to make sure we don't miss too much of this battle, as it is certainly one of the better ones on track. So momentarily, I'm going to try to probably won't happen. Usually doesn't, but we'll give it a shot. I do, however, see it on the other third-party timing and scoring. It looks like Ben Darley Jr. has crashed out of this race. Ben Darley out of the 4th round at Bathurst. So, interesting happenings going on there. That is unfortunate, as Ben Darley was having such a fine run, and was running as high as 3rd. And really putting some pressure there on Chris Miller Jr. early, but it has come unraveled for him as Wyatt Gooden, now you can see, has sustained some more damage on the right front of that Porsche. And with the late lap traffic has been so kind around here, you have to think that that would not be the cause of that damage. So perhaps Wyatt Gooden getting it wrong somewhere out there on track and suffering a little bit as a result. Now, we can say that, but we should also say at the same time that it will come down substantially to Chris Miller, who continues to run in that 2nd spot. So, Chris Miller now some 12 seconds back of Wyatt Gooden. Kyle Burney continues to hold down that 3rd spot, and as a result, of course, of Ben Darley going out, both of these drivers have picked up spots, Kyle Burney and Eric. And they will certainly take that. No doubt they would have rather making the pass on track, but they'll take a little bit of luck to get it. And they're going to need all they can get if they want to make some noise in this championship. Always luck involved to win one of these prestigious NAGP championships. So we're quickly going to try to get through the rest of the order. Roberto Lacroix now coming under pressure from Corey Brown. Paul Darling is timing and scoring between them, but I don't think that's not the case. So these two, it's quite a fight amongst themselves, and they have also been running pretty close to each other since the drop of the green flag, but none more so than now. Make sure that we don't miss too much from the Kyle Burney fight. Okay, Kyle Burney now showing back in 5th position. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it's pretty much par for the course. But indeed, he is running in the 3rd position with Eric Inge in 4th. Now, looks like Roberto is in 3rd. Okay, so perhaps we have some pit stop happening. Something that is throwing me off a little bit. That's very possible. So, it is, of course, Corey Rowland and as they run on track. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that Kyle Burney, Eric Inge fight. Okay, now they're showing it. Okay, well. Whatever. It's a good fight, nonetheless. I am not going to make any other comments except to say that this is a good fight, and they are battling side by side at the moment. Just as I switch off the TV view, which you can watch. Wow. So it is Corey Round now. Ooh, Roberto Lacroix looks like he has peeled off and jumped into the pits. Oh, it's Corey Round peeling off and jumping into... Where the hell did Roberto go? Did he have a problem out there? Did he throw it off track? Ah, yeah, Roberto Lacroix threw it off track. I'm sorry if I was on those pictures. You saw it and I didn't, but in any event... mistake there from Roberto Lacroix. No doubt after that pass made by Corey, got a little flustered perhaps, changed his line and made a mistake there, probably getting off the grass coming through the chase, and will lose some time here on this pit stop with the Corey Round. So we will have to check back into that now. Just about 19 minutes to go in this event. So indeed, those were pit stops, but it's weird how the timing and scoring was flashing back and forth through those positions. But in any event, we do see Kyle Burney now. Eric Inge looks like he has lost a little bit of ground after those pit stops. So has not lost too much, but it appeared to me that Eric Inge perhaps had a little bit of pace of Kyle Burney there before those stops. So perhaps he can reel back in Burney and put the heat back on for that 3rd position. So, while those positions do seem to change inexplicably on timing and scoring, we do know that Chris Miller does continue on 2nd. We want to make sure to check back in with him that nothing untoward has happened. But that position is still looking very clean and putting in a very nice effort is Chris Miller. So, yeah, as mentioned earlier, Chris Miller fully back there, 17th in these points, and put in some very fine runs. Has not come away with the type of points we would like. So really looking to move forward in this championship. With so many others up ahead of him, falling out, which has just been unfortunately extremely high. It looks like we have now 15 runners on the lead lap. And we did want to get you that field rundown. I did promise that a little earlier, and unfortunately I missed out. Let's make sure that we do that now. Wyatt Gooden does continue to lead this event. Has not led it from the drop of the green flag. Had to make up some serious ground from the 12th starting position, but has done so quickly up to third, and then past not only Chris Miller, but Alfonso Rodriguez, who has crashed out of this event since, to take over the top spot. So right good out front. Chris Miller continues to run in second, down in third position. Eric Enge now. Ooh, hey, he has fallen back a little farther from Kyle Burney with some lap traffic in between. So a few more seconds there given up from Eric Enge to Kyle Burney. Oh, and some more time's going to be lost. So this is just a circumstance here. Very nicely done by the lap traffic behind him to avoid more serious damage. And it looks like behind, boy, I wish I had let's just try. We'll just click on people randomly and see if that was like, well, the random clicking obviously hasn't worked, so. But time given up now by Eric Enge and Gob's Oven. Very nice of those lap traffic guys behind to avoid that, because that was a very quick action on their part. More carnage there at that corner. So in any event, Eric Enge holds down the fourth position. Roberto Lacroix will gain some time on him. Doing something there. I don't know if he's checking for a puncture or something. Oh no, Roberto Lacroix showing in my time and he's scoring. Indeed, Roberto Lacroix has come to some bad end as well, and he does have damage. So no doubt some suspension damage for Roberto Lacroix. Now we saw him come into the pits with that damage, but elected not to fix that noise coming back in now. So we have to assume that Roberto Lacroix got that damage fixed, but has thrown it off track again after his pit stop. And suddenly they are dropping through the order. A bunch of these guys, as now another driver is coming in front of him. We'll see if we can find out who that is. But some interesting news and notes, and quickly my timing and scoring, which looks so good there for about 30 seconds. They're all over the place. So we're just going to click through and see if we can't find who is running where. Paul Darling now holds down that fifth position. And what a move forward for Paul Darling here, running 8th for the majority of this event. Now finds himself suddenly in that 5th position. Of course, he has made his pit stop. Only 15 minutes to go here. And anything can happen. Boy, I took one thing. Paul Darling didn't have that spin early, but he did have contact. And since has kept that Porsche very clean. I've never seen any damage every time we have read him on the So, and that's what it takes. As a result, you see it is a round now. Obviously, has gotten a lot of separation from Roberto Lacroix after that intense battle, and it's going to be good for him to get that pressure off. Corey Brown sitting third in this Drivers' Championship, and his main rival, Alfonso Rodriguez, in that championship, of course. We know that he has gone out of this event. A little lap traffic, little balk up there, but no harm, no foul. So Corey looking to pick up some serious points over Alfonso Rodriguez. In fact, as they run, Corey Rowan with Michael Roderick actually has not made this event, and Paul Darling back in his position. Corey Rowan will take over second in this Drivers' Championship, but 13 and a half minutes to go. We saw what's happened the last 4 minutes. It is not settled yet for Corey Brown. Now, if I'm not mistaken, yes, Scott Myers indeed has picked up to the 8th position. So running Scott Myers. And what a fine result that this will be. He has a little bit of damage on the left front. Perhaps the body work pushed in a little bit along the side there, but holding down the 8th position, and I can tell you Scott Myers is thinking nothing at this point but coming home in that 8th position, as there it looks like we have had a little off up in front of them, but they got it going quickly. So fine result for Scott Myers. Now it is Daniel Roberts. No, it's not Daniel Roberts. It's somebody else now who is running 9th. And hey, there we go, James Lamb. Yes, with heavy damage still on that Porsche, but thinking also, no doubt, well, let's go ahead and finish off our fine run in 9th place here tonight. Damaged, undamaged, we don't care. Let's come home in 9th, and I think that's a pretty good pretty good strategy here for James Lamb. So his fine run continues. It is Roberto Lacroix now with that. Oh boy, that Porsche is crabbing coming down the straights. So I don't know if those pit stops, they just apparently have not been able to, elected not to find those pit stops for those repairs. And it's hard to blame the guy, though. As timing and scoring shows, the one that actually works most of the time. Really, we have only 12 cars in this event. So, well, showing out. No, I take that back. Oh crap, I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. But in any event, we do know that Roberto Lacroix is running in that 10th. And now it is Daniel Robert in the 11th position. Now, and a fine run it is for Daniel Robert. Now, he serves Daniel Robert started well back in this grid to start the race. So, fine run there for Daniel Robert. Milt Minter Jr. up to 12th. Now, this is worth noting. Milt Minter Jr. starting this race well back in the field there around the 17th, 18th position, perhaps 20th, and was farther back than that at the drop of the green flag. So Milt Minter Jr.'s run has continued over the course of this event, and that has earned him the 12th spot. Ray Nelson as well continued his fine run. Now, he was ahead of Milt Minter Jr., was in fact up to the 10th position at one point, falling back now to 13th, but still a good run. Okay, so I apologize, fellas. There's a bunch of guys still out there on track that have not gone to it and have neglected this whole race. I'm so sorry for that, but looks like I've been misreading some of my timing and scoring as I try to navigate the two. So that is my bad. I really apologize for that. So we'll just continue to go down the order here as we can find them. Sean Johnson is sitting in the pits or out. I don't know which, but he is shown in the 14th position. Franklin Nichols continues to run despite a little bit of damage. 15th place is actually still earning you some pretty gosh darn good points. We'll pay down to 30th here in this NAGP RUF Championship, so that will earn you some nice points, a few to put in the bank as we continue to run this season. Now it is Kenny Duvall in that 16th position. Eric Hafner, looks like he is off track quite a few laps down. He may be out, I'm not sure. Chris Payne is out there running, and I'm so sorry, Chris, I mentioned earlier, but we pick you up now, and you're, well, it has to be said, you're a pretty good run there in 18th. Again, anytime you manage to have all four wheels on the car and still running on this track is a pretty good run, so well done. And same for Guy Pitra. Now, obviously having a bit of a moment coming over Skyline, but it is 19th for Guy. And Stephen Warner is shown in the 20th position, but it looks like he is off. So I am sorry, folks. This is what was confusing me earlier as I go through a driver. All of the drivers behind them also will be off track, but apparently that's not the case. So Doug Pevick now holds down the 21st position. The car looks like it's still driving okay, despite a little bit of damage. Charles Hudson is out there circulating in the 22nd position. Coming now through some of the hard sections of the course. Time is running out here, so we do want to get you quickly through. Oh, Rob Thaler. So sorry that we have missed Rob Thaler's run through the field here tonight, but Rob is shown in the 23rd position. 23rd. He is showing 11 laps down, and I suspect, forgive me and my inexperience here with navigating some of these controls, I suspect that the damage repair in pits, it probably shows drivers as out. In fact, they are in the pits and getting damage repair, and it can take quite a long time, as you would imagine. Of course it would, so Rob Taylor out there in the 23rd. Well, okay. Philip Berry is either off track or getting repairs. We know Ben Darley had his problem. Okay. So, let's try to bring you the conclusion here in some coherent fashion, if at all possible. So it is Chris Miller now, down to White and Gooding, about 5 seconds as near as I can reckon. And still, not a bad effort. White and Gooding's storming through this NAGP championship has been well cataloged. Really no need to address it again. So Chris Miller running second is a very good result. And my timing and scoring is really freaked out. I assume that there's still 5.5 minutes left. Let's try to reset that and see if we can help ourselves out. Say, going through some of this overlay a little bit more methodically, also our problems with it is no secret. But I have to say, going through it a little bit more methodically, trying to actually look into some of the files and the settings, I think that we are closing it up a little bit. And oh, look at that, our technical. Well, kind of. Unless this is the last lap? I don't think so. Oh, there we go. Okay, now maybe... Oh, it hasn't updated because I haven't crossed the line, because it takes like 2 minutes for this stuff to update on this side, but this side soon. Okay. So, it is Kyle Burney now in third place, and looking very sharp. I mean, Kyle Burney's been put in a fine, a beautiful run, really second only to Chris Miller, who he could just never quite get pace on. He slipped off that battle that Chris Miller and Alfonso Rodriguez had early, and really has just never been able to figure out how to claw his way back up, but Kyle Burney very obviously has his pace over the course of this race and made sure that he was able to stick to it and keep the car working. So despite that battle with Eric Inge and despite all the lap traffic, he has navigated it very well. And again, I'd have to say second only to Chris Miller. Okay, so Eric Inge, we saw him slip off that back from Kyle Burney. He has continued to do so, but at a, let's call it, consistent pace. So Eric Inge, I think, at this point as well, in the closing minutes, deciding to drive to a particular pace that he knows he can maintain to finish out this race. Again, disaster, but one corner away on this very difficult Bathurst track. Darling, very fine run. Now we have taken a look at Paul Darling from time to time. His race has been a very quiet one. Running around the 8th position most of the time from the drop to green flag and picking up positions. Then we had very few chaotic moments toward the 3/4 of the way into this event, and benefiting there for a couple of positions. Now Corey Brown is still holding down the 6th position, and a very impressive run for Corey as well, it has to be mentioned, which we did earlier, again picking up points on Alfonso Rodriguez. He will be taking over this 2nd place in the points chase. Richard has managed to pick up some spots. Now, last time we saw Barry, he was outside the top 10. So, I'm not sure what happened here, but Barry Richard picking up just a ton of time over some rivals. Let's make that maybe Scott Myers behind him. It is. So, a battle for position on track, and I'm wondering here if maybe Barry Richard has not had some type of pit stop strategy enabling him to possibly jump Scott Myers. Now, one thing this updated timing and scoring does well is give us previous times. So, it has a 2:12 there for Barry Richard. Last time by with Scott Myers in 07. So indeed, it looks like this may be a double stint for Barry Richard, which has gained him quite a few positions. But Scott Myers, I think, will have a run at him here in the last couple laps and perhaps nip that 7th spot. And what a coup that would be for Scott Myers, but also it has to be said, very nice run for Barry Richard here late, who has picked up quite a few positions somehow. Nice run. This could very well be our last lap. The top 10, James Lamb. Now that is Roberto Lacroix just behind. And let's take a close look at that Porsche when we get a chance. It is still damaged. It looks like he has figured out a way to kind of drive around that car. You can see it's actually still kind of crapping over the skyline a little bit. So still some suspension damage on that thing, but he is hounding down James Lamb and Roberto Lacroix last time by. No, I'm sorry, it is a 2:08. To Lamb's 2:099. So Roberto Lacroix looking to take advantage here. Oh, that thing is so unstable at the rear. Looking now coming through the chase. And easily does make that pass, but it still says for 9th, so maybe Roberto Lacroix was a lap down. In any event, he made the pass, so that was pretty exciting stuff. Okay, so we're just going to go through the people we know on these laps. Corey Rowan now showing in the 5th position, so Bernie, Enge, Darling, Brown was showing in the 6th position. Oh my God. Well, I don't know. My mind is locked up. But we have lost somebody. It was Miller, Bernie, and somebody. It wasn't Lacroix. He had already slipped back. Okay, so it looks like they're coming through the order now. Like Chris Miller has come home in the 2nd position. Kyle Bernie will hold down 3rd. Eric Enge has come into the pits, so I don't know if he can escape. Well, there you have it. That was actually a pretty exciting event. Trying to figure out some of these timing and scoring issues. We could have brought it to you in a little bit more coherent a fashion. I know that we had some audio problems earlier. I apologize for that. But I think that we'll be able to get those sorted now. Again, Al Miramon, our usual picture taker and coordinator of the pictures and such, not here. So it was pretty much a last-minute thing for me to get up and running and to try to bring you the best pictures that I could. And so we've got what we got. Hopefully you're able to get a little bit of viewing pleasure from that. And certainly if we had to run it again next week, we will be even a little bit better sorted yet. And speaking of being sorted, we are actually becoming a little sorted, and Actually worked pretty darn well when there are two people able to keep an eye on some of the action, as it's, again, very difficult to navigate some of these screens and stay on top of the pictures as well. So, it was the 4th round here from Bathurst that NAGP brought you. We were so happy to do it, and we were happy for all the drivers that participated here tonight. Congratulations on those of you that finished, and better luck next time for those of you that did not. And we're going to go ahead and sign off for now.